What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael and welcome to FudgeMuppet. Today's video is going to be very fun for me because I get to tell you all just how much I love to play one of the greatest games ever made, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. As the first Elder Scrolls game I ever played all the way back in 2006, Oblivion is a game with a special place in my heart. It's a game that I was introduced to by Scott when he was a 10-year-old child, and if he didn't decide to just pick it up off the shelf 13 years ago, then FudgeMuppet may never have existed. That's right, Oblivion is arguably the seed that birthed this entire channel and every video you've watched from us. Being young when I first played it, I also felt super immersed in the world, like I truly lived and breathed in it, more than any other game ever. Like all Elder Scrolls games, Oblivion still deserves its fair share of critique, but regardless of its weak aspects, I've decided to start a fresh playthrough of the game in 2019. In this video, I plan on convincing you two with 5 really solid reasons to hit that new button on the title screen to enter Cyrodiil for another time, or perhaps the first. Reason number 1 is to experience the Oblivion Crisis, witnessing the end of an era and living through the history which acted as the catalyst point for so many events in the 200 years between Oblivion and the time of Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. The Oblivion Crisis involved a cult of Daedra worshippers known as the Mythic Dawn, helping their leader Mankar Cameron to bring Mehrunes Dagon into Tamriel. The way they did this was by assassinating Emperor Uriel Septim VII, which you get to experience at the start of the game. With his death and no heir crowned, the dragonfires in the Temple of the One become extinguished, and the seal Akatosh created between Oblivion and Nirn was broken. This meant that Oblivion gates could open all over the continent, and what followed was a Daedric invasion that forever changed the fate of the Elder Scrolls universe. Mehrunes Dagon, interestingly, is mostly known as the Daedric Prince of Destruction. However, while he was obviously defeated, he is also the Daedric Prince of Change and Revolution, so really, he did achieve much of what he stands for. You see, the way the Empire handled the Oblivion Crisis made them look quite weak, and on a very real level, it did weaken them. The Empire had to withdraw troops from the other provinces they had influence in order to protect the Heartland. This left the other provinces more vulnerable, and they lost faith in the Empire. The Empire was crumbling and weak, and the Septim line had ended. Meanwhile, the Thalmor used the confusion after the Oblivion Crisis as an opportunity to take credit for the salvation of the Altmeri people, which saw their influence grow rapidly. They eventually seized control of the Somerset Isles, and later on they took control of Valenwood too. Continuing to expand, they eventually gained power over elsewhere, claiming to have brought back the 2 moons, Massa and Secunda, after they mysteriously disappeared. Obviously, growing in such power and with the Empire in a fractured position, the Thalmor were able to become a true threat in the Great War, which then saw the signing of the White Gold Concordat, the outlaw of Talos worship, the formation of the Stormcloaks, and the civil war in Skyrim as a result. As you may know, Blackmarsh seceded from the Empire and also decided to invade Morrowind, wreaking havoc on the Dark Elves. There's a good chance this wouldn't have happened if the territory was still under Empire control. Besides living through an event that shaped the political landscape you come to learn of in Skyrim, you also have more reference points for other things, such as returning characters like Lucian Lachance. This was a speaker for the Black Hand in the Dark Brotherhood who you meet in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, but in Skyrim you summon him in the form of the Spectral Assassin. Another encounter would be with the skeleton of Sindirian in Blackreach, who you meet in the flesh in Oblivion. You'll also have more of a reference point for who the Mythic Dawn were when you do the Mehrunes Dagon related quest in Skyrim. Sheogorath also, during his quest, The Mind of Madness, makes references that you would know from Oblivion, such as mentioning his Chamberlain Haskell. All in all, a sensational reason to play Oblivion is purely to experience everything that sets up the world of Skyrim, to be just how it is in your Elder Scrolls 5 playthroughs. The second reason I highly recommend beginning a new playthrough of Oblivion is to experience a whole new realm of craziness you didn't get to experience in Skyrim: spellmaking. Spellmaking is one of the most powerful and fun advantages of joining the Mages Guild and gaining access to the Arcane University. You get to use an altar of spellmaking, which allows you to choose from the list of spell effects that you know and mix them together, altering the strength, duration, and area of effect. The crazier the spell is, the more magicka it will cost to cast, and also the more gold it costs to make. You can add multiple spell effects, but obviously if you go too over the top, you won't be able to cast it. You also get to name the spell, which adds another layer of creativity to the process. Obviously, if you have God mode on, you could make the most ridiculous spells and cast them because it wouldn't cost any magicka, and you could just console command the stupidly high amount of of gold you'd need for that anyway. But even without God mode, it was just so much fun. The reason I like it is because you can actually really feel like a powerful wizard. In Skyrim, magic wasn't that powerful, and the more magicka you got, the more times you could cast the best spells. However, there was no option to actually cast spells that were stronger as you got more powerful, in the sense that once you got the right perks and the expert and master spells, that's it as far as damage and magnitude goes. Whereas in Oblivion, if you had 600 magicka, it didn't just mean you could cast a spell costing 300 magicka twice, as opposed to just being able to do it once like a mage who only had 300 magicka. No, instead you could actually create a spell that did cost 600 magicka or 450 or 500 or whatever the case may be, and it was actually more powerful as a spell itself than anything someone with 300 magicka could unleash. So pretty much there was more advantage to going all in on magicka investment and spell potency, because you could always keep pushing the limits of your power. This is awesome if you want to play as an extremely powerful wizard build, the kind of playthrough where you feel like you could just kill a town with a single spell, and in some ways you could. This gave mages a sense of grandeur, as you weren't limited by a specific spell. There was also more magical diversity in Skyrim in general, meaning that things were just more fun as a mage anyway. Think of sending a spell across the battlefield that acts as a giant wave of frost, hitting 10 targets at a time and dropping them all with paralysis, while simultaneously corroding their armor as they're stuck, immobilized, freezing, and deteriorating on the floor. Or maybe you want to be able to walk into a room and instantly make everyone inside love you, or perhaps you want to create a spell that summons a full set of bound armor on you at the click of a finger. You could also choose to make the spells touch-based, projectile-based, or occur on yourself. Touch-based magic was really cool, so at the cost of range, you could have more magnitude. Imagine electrifying your hands and then touching a marauder with your palm, only to have electricity jump like a chain reaction out of his back and onto his accomplices. All in all, it's worth it even if you just jump on to try God mode spellmaking, although I suggest doing a proper playthrough. Definitely try Be a Mage in Oblivion in your next one to see what the big deal is. I'm getting excited just talking about it. The third reason to do a playthrough of Oblivion that always gets me ready to hop back into Cyrodiil can be summed up in one word: factions. The factions in Oblivion have a reputation for making you feel like exactly what the guild was meant to involve. The storylines are extremely fun, and the pacing is much more spaced out. I'm sure you're familiar with my critique of the Thieves Guild in Skyrim and the College of Winterhold. They're both very fun, and I enjoyed them, but they definitely have poor pacing, mainly due to the fact that there isn't a rank system. You don't exactly feel like a student mage in the college either, and in the Thieves Guild, you don't actually spend many of the quests stealing things and doing thiefy stuff. A lot of it is internal politics and dungeon crawling. Even in the Companions Guild, you start off as a beginner and then suddenly, boom, you're made a werewolf. It's Michael Bay action time. Compare this to the Fighters Guild of Oblivion, where you're spending more time doing things like killing lesser creatures or getting rid of mountain lions who are eating a lady's pet rats. Things don't progress into intensity until much later on, when you've proven yourself to be more accomplished. Even if you look at the Mages Guild in Oblivion, you had to go around to every single city and get a recommendation by doing a quest for the local Mages Guild Hall. Only then can you join the Arcane University, and at that stage you're only an apprentice who is just starting to get a feel for magic. In Skyrim, you take one lesson on casting wards, and you're sent straight to an ancient Nordic ruin, where you immediately uncover a super powerful object which functions as a main plot piece. In the Skyrim Thieves Guild, you're quickly sent to infiltrate a heavily guarded estate and burn down beehives. In Oblivion, there are 10 ranks to make your way up in the Mages Guild, and 8 ranks to climb in the Thieves Guild. In fact, in the Thieves Guild, you're forced to steal things and sell stolen goods to special contacts all over Cyrodiil, known as fencers, before you can take on more main quests. The quest in the Thieves Guild, known as the Ultimate Heist, in my opinion, is one of the best quests out of all Elder Scrolls games. The Dark Brotherhood also is really awesome, and not only has ranks, but also different bonuses you can achieve if you complete your quests in very specific ways. There's more creative options too, such as sneaking onto a pirate ship by hiding inside a cargo crate. I'd be able to tempt you even more if it wasn't for spoilers, but seriously, the factions in Oblivion are pretty great. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. One final reason why playing through the factions is good is that you can really get a feel for what you want in Elder Scrolls 6 when it comes to our desire for them to bring back the ranking system and to slow down the pacing a bit, making you feel like you're very aware of where you stand in the guild at any given time, and also that you've earned every ounce of respect you receive. The next reason is a big deal actually, and I think everyone who has played Oblivion can agree on this. Reason number 4, to play the Shivering Isles DLC. The Shivering Isles is the Daedric realm of Sheogorath, Prince of Madness, and in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, you get to go there. Sheogorath is definitely a fan favorite when it comes to Daedric princes, and he has so much interesting lore revolving around him. Anyways, by stepping into the Shivering Isles, you get to explore all of this lore, and also meet the Daedric prince he is derived from, Jiggalag. Shivering Isles is my favorite Elder Scrolls DLC of all time, mainly due to the fact that it's just so wacky, zany, and unpredictably insane. There's a lot of darker themes there, presented in both a humorous and serious way, and everything keeps you guessing, be it the creatures or the quests. It's also extremely cool to see a Daedric realm with a fleshed out society. You've got hierarchy with the palace Sheogorath rules from, and then the dukes of the two sides of the realm, Mania and Dementia. You've got the main city of New Sheoth, which his realm splits in half into their different themes, and then the citizens within who are all crazy in their own way while still sticking to the psychological frameworks their half of the realm is meant to operate in. There's also a functioning criminal system with Daedra guards and a process by which laws are enforced and people are punished for crimes. Then there's the towns all around the giant mushroom-covered hills of the realm outside the city walls. Often these towns have something quite crazy about them. Take the village called Split, for example. This is located on the border of Dementia and Mania, and each person in the village has a duplicate of themselves, one version being demented, the other manic. It is said that this occurred when a mage wanted to test their theory that everyone has a manic and demented side within them, and as a result casted a weird spell on the town. Cool bits of lore like this and little legends can be found all over the Shivering Isles. There's also many new enemies to find and more spells to get to, such as the ability to summon said monsters. The main story is also super epic, involving you trying to stop the Grey March, a process that happens at the end of every era in the Shivering Isles. Its aim is to wipe out the entire realm so that Sheogorath must build it again. You fight against knights and priests of order, minions of the Daedric Prince Jiggalag, who are powered by these large crystalline obelisks which pop up throughout the realm. There's not really much else to say. I simply can't recommend playing Oblivion enough so that you get to experience this DLC for yourself, spending lots of time with none other than Sheogorath and visiting some of the craziest societies in the world of gaming. And finally, we arrive at our final reason to play Oblivion in 2019. Reason number 5 is to experience what remains of Aelid culture, and to consider the impact this ancient race has had on the Elder Scrolls timeline. Aelid culture will have the most significance to anyone out there who is a massive lore nerd, as the Aelids have played such an important part in Elder Scrolls history. After all, it is they who built the White Gold Tower itself, the heart of the Imperial City. Furthermore, their enslavement of men is what led to the Slave Rebellion and essentially birthed the empires which followed as a result, the empire you see in the time of Oblivion and Skyrim. In fact, the Eight Divines Pantheon is a combination and compromise made by Queen Alicia, which combined the Aelid Elven Pantheon and the Nordic Pantheon, so likely if there were no Aelids to enslave the men of Cyrodiil, they would not have worshipped elven deities, and then no compromise would later be made, meaning no Eight Divines, a religion which shapes Tamriel for the following thousands of years. The fall of the Aelids marked the transition between the time of elves to the time of men, although perhaps by the time of Skyrim, things seem to be changing again with the Thalmor's rise to power. Time will tell, but in Elder Scrolls for Oblivion, the main point of focus regarding Aelids is actually going to be you exploring their ruins. Unlike the Nordic ruins in Skyrim, which are epic but more rugged looking, Aelid ruins are breathtakingly beautiful. You'll just be roaming the peaceful countryside on horseback until you see some sort of beautiful white rock structure, ancient and magical in vibe. The architecture is very impressive and comes in all sizes. There's enormous metropolises, labyrinth-like in formation, filled with traps, monsters such as liches, and stones filled with magical essence harvested from the sky. Vala stones and welcomed stones are very interesting to collect here and are useful too. Then there's also smaller structures such as little settlements. Now when you embark upon your playthrough of Oblivion, I recommend doing the quest for Umbacano, where you have to collect 10 Aelid statues for him from various ruins. After doing this, he'll send you on another quest to collect a rare Aelid carving, and finally he'll send you to get a powerful Aelid Aelid crown, and things get pretty intense. He's not the only person who wants to have all these Aelid artifacts. Anyways, I think the visuals speak for themselves. Definitely go check out these Aelid ruins, especially if you're getting sick of Nordic and Dwarven ones, as cool as they are. And that wraps up this video on 5 reasons to play Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion in 2019. Thank you all so much for watching and for listening to me talk about how much I just love this game. If you've never played Oblivion before, I definitely recommend giving it a go. The game has aged a bit, but it's definitely still playable. It goes without saying it's a lot easier to get into than Morrowind if you've never played that before. I still recommend playing both though. Social media links are in the description as usual for anyone who is interested in keeping up with us behind the scenes, and let me know what your favorite thing about Oblivion is in the comments below. My name is Michael. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to nerding out with you again very soon.